be the greatest 4 years of your life. 4 years of stress, anxiety, and adolescence. And everyone in this room knows that is the smell of teen spirit. So this yearbook represents mine and 600 other seniors' accomplishments in 2015. All the 90s kids, as myself, walked into high school thinking it was going to be just like High School Musical. And it was wrong because our expectations went down the drain. But people hated those 4 years, but they seemed to miss the concept of the entire movie, which was that high school is about going through hardships and learning how to get through them. By learning my experience, hopefully you'll learn to appreciate those 4 years that you hated so much. First, I'll talk about my background and how I connect to the yearbook and how I found myself in this culture. So yearbooks keep records of important events since the 1800s. But this book reminds me of all the struggles I had to face during the entire year. Ever since we were young, our families would take pictures of us and keep them safe in an album. Nowadays, we like to take selfies with our friends and save Snapchat videos on our phones. One picture speaks 1,000 words, and this yearbook represents 1,000,000 thoughts. I may have only showed up in like 5 photos, but I'm not bitter about it, but maybe a little. It's not about how many pages you're in, but the people who are able to fill in the blank spaces with their signatures. Looking back at the memories, everything comes back to my mind. As I think about fall, about homecoming, I remember I would cry over some boy who would play with my heart. But then I went to winter, I remember I would cry endlessly because I remember my grandmother was slowly dying. When life gets too hard, even like right now, and I feel like I don't want to get up in the morning and go to school or anything, I like to look back at spring because spring was the time when it's supposed to be the best part of senior year, including prom, graduation. But instead, I like to look back at that the last time my grandmother got to see me. And nothing in those 4 years was more painful than that. And I got to experience that and learn how to grow from it and become stronger. High school may not be how movies set them out to be, but they do go through the same stages of adolescence, whether it be about your first heartbreak or maybe you failed chemistry. But maybe in the end you found out that that boy wasn't going to be the end of your world, or that you wanted to major in fashion instead. You never know. And learning from your failure, and learning how to accept it, and learning how to get back up, and that's what it means to be a teenager. I wasn't always this loud, spunky, or confident. I was an introverted child who would always draw pictures in her sketchbooks, and I was too afraid to say my thoughts because of fear of rejection. I grew up in a small private school with no less than 30 students, and I made a part of that small 1% minority of Asian students. And I felt weird just to be different from the other kids, to have different interests, traditions, anything. I felt like I was an outcast. But once I got to high school, I was able to meet many other people. I joined thespian club and anime club, and I was able to meet lots of people who broadened my horizons and gave me brand new ideas. And it felt like I belonged somewhere for once, and it was better for myself. Talking about high school may be ridiculous because, come on, we're in college now. But I like to look back at it, that it helped me to grow as a person. Now that you've heard my story and the culture of high school, I hope that you sort of appreciated what you've gone through. You've heard about some of my life background and how I connect to this yearbook and the importance of those 4 years. This culture is something that isn't mentioned very often, nor looked greatly upon. But I want you to think about yourself today and how far you've come here to Cal State LA, about all the struggles you faced, just to get here, and be proud of who you are, because this is the start of something new.